Jai Shri Ram. Oxymorons. We got to complete this. I think my collection is so huge. Okay. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. And after winning an argument with your wife, the wisest thing to do is to apologize. The average child is almost a non existent myth. To be normal, one must be peculiar in some way or the other. To be normal, we must be peculiar in some way or the other. Parents are the last people on earth who ought to have children. People marry for a variety of reasons and with varying results. But to marry for love is to invite inevitable tragedy. Personal hatred and family affection are not incompatible. They often flourish and grow strong together. So the young always have the same problem, how to rebel and conform at the same time. They have solved this problem by defying their parents and copying one another. An obedient wife commands her husband, let your children go if you want to keep them. A girl must marry for love and keep on marrying until she finds it. The object of teaching a child is to enable him to get along with his teacher. The object of teaching a child is to enable him to get along without his teacher. Okay. Either way, it's funny, with his teacher or without his teacher. Okay, dependence leads to independence, isn't it? We are dependent on the guru so that someday we can be independent. To reform a man, you must start with his grandmother. The proper time to influence the character of a child is about 200 years before he is born. That means you create the right environment. When your environment is dirty and vicious, it's very difficult to change people. We all of us wanted babies, but did we want children? The wife should be inferior to the husband. That is the only way to ensure equality between the two. Never have children, only grandchildren. Gore Vidal. Never have children, only grandchildren. Extreme justice is extreme injustice. Like the retributive system in Islam, you will find in Islamic countries they will cut off the hand even for a petty thief. They will stone to death for adultery. Stoning to death is a common thing. But in India we have this IPC. They want the IPC for their civil matters, but they don't want Sharia. They want Sharia for civil and they don't want Sharia for the criminal. Because if they have full Sharia, then most Muslims will not have hands because it will be cut. Study the past if you want to divine the future. Mahabharata, Bhishma. Bhishma says, study the past if you want to know the future. Same thing with religions, same thing with people, entire societies. Study their past if you want to predict their future, how they are going to behave. In great attempts, it is glorious even to fail. In great attempts, it is glorious even to fail. Bhishmacharya. Attention to health has become the greatest hindrance to life itself. Because these days people are eating all junk and all kinds of snake oil they are consuming. Instead of leading an honest, hard-working life and simple, fresh fruits and vegetables, the fridge is full of tamasic food, processed food. All the pizzas, burgers, and the sauces are killing you. They're all stale food. That's why you need a lot of coffee and stimulants to keep you awake during the day. Eat good, simple, Ayurvedic, Sattvic food. Don't forget, your greatest enemy is your greatest friend. Your greatest friend can become the greatest enemy too. Why is the enemy your greatest friend? Because your greatest enemy wants you to fail. They want this so badly that they are highly motivated to discover your weaknesses and fatal flaws. But if you can go to school on your enemy's assessment of your weaknesses and improve yourself by taking some appropriate countermeasures, then nobody is more valuable than your enemy. So love your enemy. We Hindus want peace and we are willing to fight for it. That's what Bhagavad Gita teaches me. We want peace and we are willing to fight for it. We Hindus are unfortunately living in a situation of dignified slavery. This is dignified slavery. Our temples are looted and no rights for the Hindu actually. Dignified slavery, that's all. The tragedy with most Hindu leaders is after they acquire power, they become impotent. They can't take tough decisions. If you have power and don't take tough decisions, then you will lose that power. What use is power when you can't take tough decisions? People get to power and then become important. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "It is only the warlike power of civilized people that can give peace to the world." The warlike power of civilized people, only that can give peace to the world. Theodore Roosevelt. Poverty is an expensive luxury. We cannot afford it. Eleanor Roosevelt. Yes, true. Poverty is an expensive luxury. We cannot afford it. In fact, stupidity is also an expensive luxury. If people around us are very stupid and they cannot contribute to our growth fast enough, and then that's how they become a nuisance. That's why we cannot afford poverty. The more complete the despotism and tyranny, the more smoothly all things move on the surface. Look at all the Islamic nations which have theocracies, and all the communist nations. It's all snafu. Situation normal, all effed up. The more complete the tyranny, the more smoothly all things move on the surface only. Woodrow Wilson once said, "If I have to speak for 10 minutes, I need 1 week for preparation. If I have to speak for 15 minutes, 3 days. 10 minutes aithe 1 week preparation, 15 minutes 3 days. If half an hour or 2 days, if I have to speak for half an hour, 2 days. If I have to speak for 1 hour, I am ready right now." Show business, sincere insincerity. When gods wish to punish us, they answer our prayers. How conventional all you unconventional people are. I can resist everything except temptation. Oscar Wilde. Tragedy. A definition of a tragedy is a hero destroyed by excess of his own virtues. Prithviraj Chauhan is the best example. Tragedy. A hero destroyed by an excess of his own virtues. Mel Brooks famously said, "Tragedy is if I cut my finger. Comedy is if I walk into an open sewer and die." Cary Grant. When people tell you how young you look, they are actually telling you how old you are. Jack Nicholson confessed, "My mom never saw the irony in calling me a son of a bitch." Art is not truth. Art is a lie that makes us realize the truth. First I dream my painting, then I paint my dream. Isn't it? Every artist, suffers from this queer divine dissatisfaction, blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us do more. Jazz music is an intensified feeling of nonchalance. Jazz is an intensified feeling of insouciance, nonchalance, carefree, bindasness. In art, the more minimal the art, the more maximum the explanation. Hey, look at this painting galleries, lot of stupid stuff, waste of paint. The more minimal the art, the more maximum the explanation. The Mona Lisa included. Oh, some people, she is so magnificently ugly, deliciously hideous. In her vast ugliness resides a powerful beauty. Oh my God. I am proud of my humility. I like these desert cult mlechas. They have the most rigid code of immorality in the entire world. We Hindus were never defeated, we were only killed. Killed by treachery. Treachery. We were never defeated, we were only killed. Deep down, he is very shallow. Deep down, these fellows are all very shallow. An empty car arrived at the Parliament House. When the door opened, Pappu got out. He is the perfection of rottenness. The perfection of rottenness, and has an impeccably bad taste. And he is genuinely bogus. Genuinely bogus. And he suffers from delusions of adequacy. He is a masterpiece of failure. He is a genius with the IQ of a moron. Genius with the IQ of a moron. The only nicest thing I can say is that he is unbearable, insufferable. Never take anybody's advice is the advice. I advise people never to give advice. Most people, when they come to you for advice, they come to have their own opinions strengthened, not corrected. Always listen to experts because they will tell you what cannot be done and why. Then go ahead and do it. Even if you do learn to speak correct English, whom are you going to speak it to? Even if you learn to speak correct English, whom are you going to speak it to? Never use a long word when a diminutive one will suffice. Eschew obfuscation. Resist hyperbole. Avoid awkward or affected alliteration. Avoid cliches like the plague. If you want people to think well of you, do not speak well of yourself. For fast acting relief, try slowing down. Never let your sense of morals get in the way of doing what is right. We hate those who will not take our advice and despise those who do. To be believed, make the truth unbelievable. Napoleon Bonaparte. Lovely. To be believed, make the truth unbelievable. Speak when you are angry and you will make the best speech you will ever regret. The best way to lose a friend is to tell him something for his own good. You will never live if you are looking for the meaning of life. The highest purpose is to have no purpose at all. Remember that not getting what you want is sometimes a wonderful stroke of luck. Dalai Lama. Not getting what you want is the best stroke of luck. It is not chic to be too chic, not fashionable to be too fashionable. Never buy what you don't want because it is cheap. It will be dear to you. Don't despair, not even over the fact that you don't despair. Never despair. The best things in life are not things at all. The best things in life are not things at all, and they are all free actually. If a person begins by telling you, do not be offended at what I am going to say, prepare yourself for something that he knows will certainly offend you. Unless we lose ourselves, we can never find ourselves. Unless you lose yourself, you will never find yourself. It's not good to have too much liberty. It's not good to have all one wants. To be without some of the things you want is an indispensable part of happiness. The indispensable part of happiness is to be without some of the things that we want. Don't play for safety. It is the most dangerous thing in the world. Don't play for safety. It's the most dangerous thing in the world. The only way a rich man can be healthy is by living as if he were poor. Exercise and abstinence. Hindu temple architecture is frozen music. Temple architecture is frozen music. Man is not a rational animal. Man is a rationalizing animal. Man is a clever animal who behaves like an imbecile. Silence is more eloquent than words. Man is a social animal who dislikes his fellow man. Silence is the unbearable repartee. Criticism is always a kind of compliment. Think about it. The object of criticism is, it means somebody is paying attention. It means we are noteworthy enough to be criticized, which is always preferable than being ignored. So criticism is a kind of compliment. A yawn is a silent shout. Though pride is not a virtue, it is the parent of many virtues. Take pride in being a Hindu, the only religion which does not teach you to convert and kill. So pride is not a virtue, but it's the parent of many virtues. Violence does even justice unjustly. Violence does even justice unjustly. Reality is the ultimate illusion, and TV is an invention whereby you can be entertained in your living room by people you won't want in your house. Success is 99% failure. Success is 99% failure. Soichiro Honda. Success is 99% failure. Human service is the highest form of self-interest for the person who serves. Life is a tragedy full of joy. Human beings are the only creatures who are able to behave like idiots, irrationally, all in the name of reason. Our enemy is by tradition our savior in preventing us from stupidity and superficiality. Kindness is the most unkind thing of all. To imagine the unimaginable is the highest use of imagination. A hero is a man who is afraid to run away. A hero is a man who is afraid to run away. Work is the most natural form of relaxation. Work means relaxation to me. Freedom is the right to choose the habits that bind you. Okay? Realism is a corruption of reality. Vision is the art of seeing the invisible. Civilization is a limitless multiplication of unnecessary necessaries. That weakness in human nature which goes by the name of strength. Slavery, servitude, debases men to the point where they end up liking it. This is true of the Abrahamic cults. These religions make slaves of men and they end up liking it. They are willing to die for this slavery. Basic research is when you are doing what you don't know what you're doing. Liberty is the only thing you cannot have unless you are willing to give it to others. War is fear cloaked in courage. We are all failures. At least all the best of us are. The superior man is distressed by his lack of ability. This man, great writer, he said, Robert C. Benchley, it took me 15 years to discover that I had no talent for writing, but I couldn't give it up because by the time I became too famous. The most corrected copies are commonly the least correct. The most edited, redacted copies are the least correct. The most corrected copies are the least correct. The man is the most original one who can adapt from the most greatest number of sources, being eclectic. It is with noble sentiments that unholy literature, bad literature gets written. We hate each other cordially. Hating each other cordially, isn't it? Originality is nothing but judicious imitation. Fiction reveals truth that reality obscures. There is a stage in every misery when the victim begins to find a deep satisfaction in it. How does a man live? By completely forgetting he is a human being. Because I don't trust him, we are friends. The rule is jam tomorrow and jam yesterday, but never jam today. Lewis Carroll. When a lot of remedies are suggested for a disease, that means it cannot be cured. It is completely unimportant. That is why it is so interesting. Most of our cricket matches are like that. TV serials also. Frank and explicit. I am frank and explicit. I use this phrase whenever I want to conceal my mind and confuse the minds of others. If I love you, what business is it of yours? This is Van Goethe. If I love you, what business is it of yours? When I grow up, I want to be a little boy. I am impressed by how unimpressive he is. Several excuses are always less convincing than one. The unforgivable was usually the most easily forgiven. A meaningless phrase repeated again and again begins to resemble truth. Oh, holy books again. To oppose something is to maintain it. Extinction strategy is best. Too much freedom is its own kind of cage. In some enterprises, a careful disorderliness is the true method. A careful disorderliness is the right method in all creative activity, I think. Patience is bitter, but the fruit is very sweet. Patience is bitter, but the fruit is sweet. The best place to hide anything is by keeping it in plain view. That is why in the Bhagavad Gita, Raja Vidya Rajaguhyam, 9th chapter, Krishna says the same thing. Forgiveness is the one unpardonable sin. The only way not to think about money is to have a great deal of it. Sylvester Stallone once said, I am the Hiroshima of love. I am the Hiroshima of love. The only luxury is freedom. The only luxury is freedom. It is about 90% strength and 40% technique. 90% strength and 40% technique. Happy are the parents that have no children. Always go to other people's funerals, otherwise they won't come to yours. Once Mulayam Singh Yadav said, बच्चे हैं हो जाता है about rape. The boys never meant any harm against the girls. They just meant to rape. This is, my God, the height of insanity. The boys never meant any harm against the girls. They just want to rape. It's almost like saying that. There are two types of truth, the real truths and the made up truths. Real truths and the made up truths. George Bush once said, I have opinions of my own, strong opinions, but I don't always agree with them. He had a God given killer instinct. Saint Francis Xavier. He had a God given killer instinct. All the, Mlecha invaders, they had a God given killer instinct. If you are killed because you are a writer, that is the maximum expression of respect, Mario Vargas Llosa. If you are killed because you are a writer, that's the maximum expression of respect, Elvis Presley once said, I don't know anything about music. In my line, you don't have to. Isn't it? Wonderful. I don't want to tell you any half-truths unless they are completely accurate. Dan Quayle, I believe we are on an irreversible trend toward more freedom and democracy, but that could change. The atomic bomb is a marvelous gift that was given to us by a wise God. Phyllis Schlafly. The atomic bomb is a marvelous gift that was given to us by a wise God. So I think we can stop here, and that's the end. I hope you loved listening to it. So keep listening and make sure that you own some of them, use them, create some oxymorons for yourself. And greet people. Jai Shri Ram.